and we
You know what's going to happen. It's going to be a last minute winner or something like that. But hopefully, we'll start the season off strong. We've got some tough Philly. We'll start the season off strong. We've got some tough fixtures. The first six fixtures are really tough.
yeah.
As you said, mate, off here, every game's tough in the Premier League, but you want to get off to a good start and hopefully opening day win at Sunderland. And yeah, a few new signings hopefully in the team.
Well, it needs to be. We'll get on to some of the rumours anyway that there are out there. I'm sorry about the whoosh in the background, everyone. That's my fan. I've got a cut-off filter, so when I'm quiet, you can't hear it. But when I talk, it sounds like I've got a lisp. You're just gonna have to put up with it. But yeah, we've definitely got to get some players in. Are you worried yet, or in terms of the fact that we haven't done any business? Are you worried at all?
Mate, I'm a West Ham fan. I'm always worried.
Yeah.
I'm always worried. Every morning I wake up, I think, what the fuck's happening today?
I
But
know, I know.
yeah, no, look, it's still early in the transfer window. The transfer window only opened on Monday. There's not been a
The
lot of
second one.
business so far. So, yeah, I mean, if we're still in this position in 2 weeks, then yeah, I will probably start thinking, hang on a minute, what's going on? But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I do think that, I know it's mad, but I sort of, I've got a little bit of trust in Potter that I think he's gonna do well in the transfer window. Look, we're gonna have to lose probably a couple of decent players like Paquetá and Kudus. I mean, Paquetá, we don't know what's gonna happen with him. Kudus looks like he wants to leave, so yeah, if we can get the right players in, you know, it's going to be tough because us to attract top class players now is difficult because we had Europe a few seasons ago and we can attract the
Yeah.
players like Kudus and Paquetá. So it's going to be difficult, but no, I've got a little bit of faith in Potter. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea or pint of beer, as it's a
No.
booze show. I'll say that, but yeah, I think it's a fresh start for him. You know, new season, pre-season, get some signings in, and hopefully, mate, we can have a much better season than last season because it was dreadful.
Well, I'm not the biggest Potter fan, as you know, but I do accept that I think this would be difficult for any manager at this stage now with what he's got to do. I mean, I say that. For me, I'm concerned about the strategy behind the window in terms of selling our best players, our better players, and potentially downgrading them because I think we've got a good starting block already. But if these players, it could be the case that look, the players just don't want to be here anymore. You know, you could have your likes of Kudus and Paquetá. We know he wanted to go before, didn't he? He had one foot out the door. He was going to City. So I do. I think in the situation that he's in, where he's expected to sell his players and rebuild it, I don't think he's a bad choice at the moment, if I'm honest, in this current situation, because it's going to be difficult, mate. It's going to be really difficult if he's got to almost rebuild a team.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Potter's probably the best manager we can have at the moment because when your club's in that situation with hardly any money and you've got to start selling your best players, you're not going to attract a top manager. They're
No.
not going to come in and want to work with that. So Potter's got a massive job on his hand. Yeah, it's just the same. It seems like the same every pre-season, doesn't it? We go into this transfer window and you watch every West Ham channel, and it's been the same, like same conversations in it. We ain't got
It is.
anyone yet. Are we going to sign anyone? And it shouldn't be like this. I look at other fan bases, and I think to them sometimes, fucking hell, like your clubs are going out and signing players. Like look at Chelsea. As soon as they won that Conference League final, next day they went out and signed Delap.
But
They're not.
if they gave a shit our ball, then they would have made a signing, even if it was a fucking token signing, just to appease everyone. But they don't do that. They don't.
Yeah,
And
and that's probably someone that we should have been looking to get. Delap, 30 million.
100%, I know.
You know what I mean? Like he would have guaranteed first team football at West Ham. You know, at Chelsea's probably not going to get that as much.
No,
But we just ain't got no. Like I don't suppose I'm not going to speak for Potter here, but I know our board definitely haven't got no ambition because we've seen that over the last few years. You know, when you look at this squad now, like last season, the way it ended, they don't look together like they did a few years ago. Like I know,
no.
obviously, people have their views on the Moyes era and that, but you can't deny that the dressing room was so good during that era, and they had good characters there, and it seemed like the squad was together. But now they're just distant, and it's not that the fans are distant as well. And well, we're always distant because we're that far from the fucking pitch. But
Fucking hell, I know.
but you know
I
what I
know.
mean? Like it seems like there's a lot of it's toxic again around the fan base.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I was saying this earlier on. This is cultivated by them. This is what I mean. When I said earlier on, they could go out, they could kind of neutralise this. This is bullshit. They can't go out and sign a player. They get their players on tick anyway, Ryan. It ain't like they pay fucking money up front for them. They can go out. If we're selling players anyway, they could go and sign one. They could do. And that would literally level out the fan base. It might calm people down a little bit, but we're in a situation where you've got the club pleading poverty, saying we've got no money. There's a threat of a lot of our better players going out, and we've got the unknown entity of Potter and McCauley being tasked with doing what they've not really done before. They've never rebuilt. You know, they haven't. I mean, when he was at Brighton, it was Tony Bloom, it was all the others, it was the people behind him that done all that recruitment. So he's never done that before. And what scares me even more is McCauley, who I've been told is a really good talent. I don't know much about him, and the guy that told me is a little bit, I suppose, competitive with McCauley. So he's got no reason to sort of say that he's good, but he said he's good in terms of his ability to spot talent. So, but that said, we know that he ain't closing the deals. So you've got McCauley identifying players, and then you've got Sullivan and possibly Brady going out there trying to close the deals. That's just a concern because we know what they're like. You know,
Yeah.
you got Brady, you know, fucking take it or leave it, and Sullivan who just don't want to spend any money. You know, if someone wants 50 million, he'll offer 10. All right, 11.5 then. How about that? No,
Yeah.
no. So it is a worry, but what I don't buy the notion that Sullivan's trying to dismantle the club. He wants us to get relegated. I don't buy that at all because that makes no sense. Because when you think about it at West Ham, we're probably, more than any other club, we need Premier League status. We've got fuck all else. You know, we don't own the stadium. We don't even own the training ground. And we're borrowed against that. There's no more assets we can borrow against. All we've got in terms of revenue, really, is that TV money coming in. You drop out the Premier League, that's gone. And then this club is worth fuck all then at that point. You know, they're apparently... They've got ideas of getting 2 billion, 3 billion pound for this if they sell it. They're never going to do that. And if that's what their aim is to one day sell the club for a huge profit, you drop out the Premier League, that all the big players are gone, and you ain't got no TV revenue. What are we worth then?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have to be a Premier League club if we want to sell for the highest money. Because as I agree, if we drop into there, not only that, you're going to see the crowds drop. It's going to be dead over Stratford. You know, you're going to get what on average, you'll still get a good crowd over there for, you know, you'll get the loyal supporters that will still go. You get 30, 40,000, but in a 65,000 seater stadium, it's going to look ridiculous. So
do you think you would get that many? Do you think you would get that many in the Championship now? I know. We would have got 20, 30,000 at Upton Park. Do you think you would get that many in this place now?
I think you would. I think you'd still get the loyal. I think you'd still get a lot of people probably renew their season tickets looking forward. I think a lot of people would actually look forward to the Championship, if I'm honest.
Well, I would renew and start going again if we got, because apart from anything else, I think that's one thing that could push Sullivan to sell. I think it could if we were to get relegated, because by that point, I mean, you can imagine what the pressure would be like on them then. They don't like it, you know, and people do say, look, he doesn't care about the fans. He don't care, but he doesn't like it when there's fan unrest. He can't, especially when it's directed towards him, like it was in the Burnley game. And if they get it wrong in this window, because how many windows now have we been? This is the most important window. It's a mass rebuild, another mass fucking rebuild we've got to do again because of how they keep getting it wrong. If he gets it wrong this time, and Potter does end up going, because I don't think that the fans, even I'm not his biggest fan, Potter. I'm not, but I do. He didn't employ himself. He didn't. Sullivan keeps getting it fucking wrong, and I think that the sniper sights will be fixed firmly on Sullivan now. It ain't going to be like it was with Moyes out. I think it's going to be Sullivan. If this goes wrong with Potter, it's going to be all eyes on Sullivan this time. I don't think it'll be Potter. Do you know what I mean? You get frustrated with a manager, but
100%. I agree. And when you look at the fixtures that come out today, I mean, you look at the first 6. We've got 3 London derbies in the first 6 games.
I throw them up.
It's a difficult start for Potter, and if we start the season off bad, it's just gonna, as you said, it's gonna be a lot of toxic. There will be blame aimed at him, but mainly it will be towards Sullivan and the rest of the board. I mean, you look at that: Sunderland away, difficult; Chelsea at home, Forest away. Then you got Spurs and Palace, and then Everton away. David Moyes going back to see him. So yeah, it's difficult, mate. But look, we look at the Premier League fixtures every season they come out, and you can't always. You always look where's an easy run, where we're going to get our points, but it's just a luck of the draw, isn't it? Really, like you could start the season off with, no disrespect, but Burnley at home, and then another couple of easy winnable games that you think, and you could lose them all. But then West Ham, you can go to Arsenal and get a win.
Yeah.
So
one thing that Potter has got, and it's a habit. It's obviously not it's not a freak. He used to have quite a decent result against the big teams away from home, and he's carried that into West Ham. We had a couple of shock results or shock performances. One shock result, I suppose, against Arsenal, but a decent performance against Liverpool. I think with the way that he sets up, because what we've been watching is potable. That's one thing that I do think that is going to shock a lot of people. I think they're expecting something different. What we were watching, you might, with better players that suit his system more, I think we'll be more efficient with it. It might be a little bit more successful, but that is literally potable. So I think what we saw is what we're going to see next year. But I suppose if it starts to yield results, if it was to be successful, for instance, because the only way that you can play quite a dull brand of football, I think, and get away with it is to do what David Moyes did and get relative success. Because if you're battling and you're fighting and you're further up, because you have to give the fans something. So there's either got to be entertainment when you go to a game, or you got to fucking win.
Yeah,
it's got one or the other.
One thing is though, like I know it's not great at West Ham at the moment, but isn't it exciting waiting for them fixtures to come out? I know people try to leak them and all that, but it's like you do look forward. It's like when you look forward to the new kit coming out, and the fixtures come out. You moan, but there is that little bit of excitement. You look for the fixtures and you look out for ones that are around on your birthday. Disappointed there's no Boxing Day games this year.
That's bollocks, that is, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
But
that's like a lot of, like, it's a tradition for people, isn't it? Like Boxing Day. I remember as a kid, Boxing Day football, usually 12 o'clock kickoffs. We always used to play, I always remember, we always used to, for some reason, play Charlton at home. Yeah. Or fucking, so, you know what I mean? Like, but I used to love that as a kid. And yeah, I know obviously West Ham, this is another thing. I don't think
we'll ever play at home again on Boxing Day.
But if we'd got like a London derby away against like Fulham or Arsenal or someone like that, it would have been. But then again, the trains probably wouldn't have been fucking running.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way it goes. But no, I'm. Yeah. See, when you say that, you're obviously not as far gone as me, because my excitement levels have really gone to the point where, do you know something? I knew that the fixtures were released today. I didn't even really check it until I'd finished work. I really didn't, and I sort of saw it. I thought, oh, that's a touch, Sunderland away. But if you flip it the other way, and you're Sunderland, do you think they're happy with their opening game of the season?
Oh yeah, 100%. They're at home first game. They've got a team that struggled last season. It depends, right? By that time that game comes, we could have a completely different team, different squad. We could have signed a few players, and Sunderland are thinking, oh fuck, because I don't think Sunderland are going to go out and get many signings. I think they're just going to, bit like Southampton last season, just going to ride along in the Premier League, and I think they will go down. I don't think they're going to be strong enough to stay up. But
I think Leeds will stay up. Or they'll push it this year anyway.
Yeah, Leeds are a massive football club in there, and they'll have that attraction still. They'll go out and get half decent signings, and they'll probably end up staying up. But yeah, the likes of I think Burnley and Sunderland, I don't think they'll start. But look at us doing early predictions, and I ain't even fucking put us to. We'll probably get relegated next season, and Sunderland will probably finish in fucking top 10.
Yeah. So, see, this type of thing here, I haven't seen this. I'm not an ex. I'll get sent through tweets. I'll probably be sent this one through. But Whetstone's put, so not only has he been saying that we're skint, now he's saying that only 75% of sales will be reinvested in new players. I mean, fucking hell, mate.
Mate, I'm surprised it's as high as 75%, to be honest.
Yeah, but to come out and say that, Ryan, why do they even need to say it? This is what I'm saying to you. Why do you even need to say that?
Do you think that they get like a little bit of a buzz winding the fan base up?
Yeah, I think they must do now. I think it's coming to that point. You know, I do feel like they know something's building again, because irrespective, you know, the petition that we've been pushing and everything else.
Yeah.
I don't think we're far off bad shit happening again at West Ham if it doesn't go well next year. I think that'll be it, because a lot of people have still renewed. So it isn't like they've got rid of, you know, all of the old guard. That hasn't happened. There's still a lot of people going over there that are placing their faith in it again. They've gone one more year. And if they fuck this up, you know, that's not fair. So, because going back to what you were saying earlier on, you know, about Potter's the ideal man in this situation, I think he is. Because what other manager could you convince to come in, to take a job and say, we're shit at the minute, but you got to sell your better players, and we're only going to give you 75% of what we get to reinvest it. What other manager would take that job? I don't know many that would.
Everton's manager?
Oh, Moyes. Yeah, possibly.
No, you're right, mate. It's difficult to attract a decent manager with the way our club is being run at the moment.
Yeah. That's they're not backing him. I mean, that for me, if they're saying 75%, it's going to be less. What they're saying there is that they're not going to be investing the full amount of money that we get for players back into playing staff. Now that they'll be holding more money back. I did make a prediction before this season finished, and my prediction was that Sullivan didn't appoint Potter. He ain't going to back him. He's not. We've got him here. He's got this contract under protest. I think he's going to use him as a sacrificial lamb. He's going to sell a load of players. I think if Potter does well next year as a bonus, but I reckon they're costing in him failing. Because if you remember at the tail end of Pellegrini, they'd already decided that Pellegrini was gone. They didn't give him any money in the summer, did they? And he lasted, as long as he lasted. Moyes came in January, they'd kept a pot of money back for him. And then they gave him money to go again, and we went and bought Souček, got Bowen, and a few others in the January transfer window. I just feel like they're possibly costing that in, and I think that's proof of it. If they're literally visibly saying that they're not going all in on Potter, so I don't see. You see, the more stuff like this happens, the more I'm feeling sorry for the guy. I am, because he's being thrown under the fucking bus here, mate. He's got. Moyes spent 500 million. He had 500 million he spent in 4 years. Lopetegui came in. They gave him 140 million. How can you not give this guy money?
No, I know, it's crazy. I mean, what chance has he got? He needs money. You know, if we have to sell the likes, as we said, of Paquetá, Kudus, then so be it. But that money, what we get in, should be reinvested into the team. The whole amount, not fucking 30-40% of it. But as you said, look, Sullivan loves a loan deal. He loves one of these deals with an obligation to buy and things like that. So, yeah, I can see a few, maybe a couple of free transfers coming in. I was trying to look around today to see who's out of contract. And
have you seen the Bosman list? Have you seen the Bosman list? Mate, there's loads. There's loads. You got Neymar, you got Messi, you got Ronaldo. they're out of contracts. But so you got Uzi, Crystal Palace fullback, left back. Is it Tyreek Mitchell?
Oh yeah.
He's all right. He's on there.
I'll tell you who I would take. After watching him in Soccer Aid the other night, I'll give Tevez another season.
Yeah. I'd take him over Dominic Calvert-Lewin anyway.
Mate, yeah. Calvert-Lewin's got West Ham written all over it.
I think it could happen. But I did say, I was trying to say on the show that I did earlier on, that is a type of signing that it's got the potential to go well. None of us want him because it's a car crash waiting to happen. He's got an awful, awful injury record. But it could get him on a free transfer as 28 years old. If they could manage him and he got his fitness back and his form back, it could be a fucking masterstroke. But that's a kind of a 10% chance thing, I think, with him. Especially when we've been stung on the likes of fucking Calvin Phillips. I mean, Lingard works, but Lingard wasn't injury prone, was he?
Nah. Lingard come in and he ain't played football for 6 months and he was like unfit and he was the best player in our team.
Yeah.
In his debut.
Yeah, what's this? Troj says we haven't even got a jet and Tim this time to get him drunk on altitude. Yeah, no, I know.
Nah. We've got Potter on a fucking Boris bike with a puncher.
Yeah, I know. Because even what was a free transfer that we was after? Was it Egan Riley, the Burnley kid who's gone to Marseille? They was after him. We know that much. We know that they was interested in him, and it is a bit of a worry for me at the minute, because you think if you're what sort of profile of player do you think that we're gonna be going for? Because I think if I was Potter and I knew I needed to get players in, I think I would identify the facts that we're not a very attractive club at the moment. That's what I would do. I'd go, we're probably going to struggle to get big names in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't waste much time on it, because I think if you get a big name come in, not only are they going to want big money, they're going to want assurances, they're going to want to know who they're going to fucking be playing with. You're selling Kudus, you're selling Paquetá, you're selling these players. Why would I be coming in? So I think they're almost they're going to be forced to go into a different market, almost shopping for sort of gems, if you like, from overseas and stuff like that.
We might even have to look down in the Championship for a couple of players, because, as you said, mate, like it's a hard sell when you've got no European football and you're selling your best players. I mean, top players are going to look at that and think, "No, I don't want to be part of that." But then you will get some players that from the outside will still see West Ham as a massive move and want to come and play in front of 60,000 people week in, week out. So there is still that attraction now. But Potter and whoever's involved in the transfers, they've got to work their magic and really sell the football club. Really, they'll have to will Mark Noble into these meetings, and they'll have to give like a fucking Braveheart speech or something.
But I think that's, you work in business, right? You've got different people for different jobs, right? You've got people who I suppose in business that will, once a job has been won, you've got the architects that will go out, get the job designed, and then you've got the doers will go out and do it. But then there's that one man who's usually not good at fuck all else apart from selling a dream, a good salesman. When you get a good salesman that can sell fucking ice to the Eskimos, which is what I think Tim clearly was, wasn't he? Because it seemed like whoever he went after in that window, he got.
Yeah,
he got Alvarez, he got Kudus, he even got Todibo in front of Juventus. I mean, don't worry about the players. He got those deals done. The reason we didn't get Duran was convinced he was coming to West Ham. We'd convinced him. He done the cross-dammers. But where that fell down was because Sullivan wouldn't stump up an extra $3 fucking million and paid $37 million for him. That's what he wouldn't do. That's the reason that deal fell through. So without having that key component in these deals in a window where we've apparently got to do a massive rebuild, that's a worry, isn't it? Not having a negotiator there.
Yeah, massive. You've got to have someone with that experience and getting the deals over the line. As you said, someone that can talk the talk,
Yeah.
Because Sullivan will go in there and he'll do his own, how much do you want? They go, 100 grand a week. You go, we'll give you 10,
Yeah.
like, fucking, and then Brady will be sitting there flicking her hair around looking for Alan Sugar, thinking he's on the fucking printer. And then, so you got to have the right people doing these jobs. And as you said, Tim Stuyton was good at that because most of the deals that we wanted, we got.
Mate, what's? I mean, I don't want to go into. I mean, look, we both know Sean, right? Sean as a person, he's all right, but this type of thing, why is he doing that? Do you know what I mean? I mean, we know why, but surely he knows he's pissing people off by putting these stories out. I mean, that story there, that is going to enrage West Ham fans. It really fucking is. So that's going to be the next fucking headline tomorrow. More misery, more doom, more gloom. And people kind of, you know, they look at the West Ham fan base. Apparently, X put out a comment from the board who almost criticised us and said, oh, what's wrong with West Ham fans? They've got to be patient. While simultaneously, they're doing this. They're peddling fucking stories out and they're pissing us off. So I think like it goes back to what you said. I don't know whether they're just playing a fucking game with us now.
Yeah, it's I don't really read a lot of like Sean Whetstone's tweets and Clarence Hugh and all that. I don't, because I know how much they try to wind up the fan base. They've been doing it for a long time now. They're very successful at doing it. There's a few other accounts out there that like doing it, because we're in a world now where negative is the new positive. People love to be negative, you know. And I see the video you done yesterday on Gonzo, and he was saying that he's got thin skin, where Sean Whetstone must have the thickest skin going, because he must. I would never want to. I mean, obviously doing the channel a long time, I've been given information on stuff before, and I've never ever leaked it, because I don't want to be that person that you know. Oh, I told you so. The only time I've ever done something was when someone told me about Jared Bowen had signed his 7-year deal 3 days before it was released. And I'd done a video on it, and I got a lot of shit on it saying I don't know what I'm talking about. And then the next day, they announced it. That's the only time I've ever done it. But that was because I knew it was a positive story to come out. I've never been one that, when I've known certain things that are going to upset the fan base and piss I've never tweeted it, never told anyone, because I don't want to be that person. But some people love that. Some people love to spread negativity.
It's a really difficult thing to I mean that's that sort of information I've never got, because I haven't got those sort of contacts. I don't talk to the club. I don't. All I've been getting for the past few, I'm still getting it now, is information on the players that are being offered to West Ham. I've still got them, but I've given up doing that. I dipped my toes in the ITK thing, and I look back on how I was approaching it in January, mate, and I was becoming addicted to it. It's like I was ill. I even recorded a video. This is how sad it was, and it makes me cringe now. But I got told a story about a player that we was going to be signing, but I couldn't release it yet. I even fucking recorded a video and archived it so that I could go back later and show everyone that I knew it already.
Yeah.
Didn't have to use it in the end because we didn't sign him. But what I'm saying is, but that was kind of, and I weren't enjoying any of it. But it was like I don't know. It's like I was, you know, like when you're gambling, you're trying to chase a win. Hopefully this one will be right. So I've completely fucking binned that in. There's just no point. I've got no interest in the ITK stuff whatsoever. None.
Yeah, no,
it takes all the enjoyment out of it.
I'm exactly the same, mate. And if I've ever known anything, and I've told like the boys, I've always put, do not share this, do not share it or whatever. And I've never been that sort of person, because some people get a thrill out of it, don't they? Wanting to be the first one to break the news. And I just, especially like when it's negative news, I think, why would you want to do that? Why do you want to sit there on Twitter all night with notifications going off in your phone, people slagging you off, and then no disrespect, but then you're sitting there a few weeks later putting tweets out saying your mental health's mad, you can't handle it no more, and all that. Well, don't do it in the first place.
Don't do it in the first place. That's right. And that's one thing. What I will say, not in defence of Sean, because he's indefensible, but he is the right person to be doing that, because he has got skin like a fucking rhino. Nothing bothers him. Nothing bothers. He does all this and then goes over West Ham and stands there, don't give a shit, don't care. You know,
fair play to him. Fair play to him. But I couldn't do that. It's not my sort of thing.
No. But look, there is a chance. There's always for me, I think it is a slight chance. But if we get off to if he gets off to a flyer, which he could do. So if you throw them fixtures back up. Hang on 1 minute, if I can. If you throw them fixtures back up. So if we do get a result against Sunderland, which you would have to fancy us for, it's not going to be easy, but you'd have to fancy us for it. And then we go and get a result against Chelsea. I don't think Nottingham Forest will be as good next year. I just don't think they will. I think they had a bit of a funny season this year. I think they started to falter towards the end of last season. They was dropping off massively. And then you've got Tottenham at home, who are probably going to be in the middle of a rebuild, and that's a London derby. If he gets off to a flyer, it could happen. As hard as I find it to comprehend at the moment that we could possibly do it, and then all of a sudden, because I think it's important, you've got to get points on the board early. What I think the worst thing for West Ham next year or the next season is going to be if we're 5 games in, we haven't got any points on the board yet. We've got a couple, and we're down the bottom in the bottom 3. Then you've got an uphill battle from the fucking start. Then, and you're like, mate, seriously, I really don't want that again. I don't want that again.
Yeah, everyone wants to start the season strong. You know, you got to get off to a good start. And as you said there, you look at them fixtures. I think it just depends on the business, because I know you said about Tottenham, but I think that if Tottenham get in some of the signings that they're linked with,
well, like
even
Kudus.
Kudus, and I even heard today that they're after Duran as well. You know, and it wouldn't surprise me because they've got Champions League football. They're such an attractive football club at the moment.
We could have had that. We could have had Kudus, Duran, Paqueta, Bowen. We could have had that.
Yeah, we're always the bridesmaids, didn't we?
It's so frustrating. And what's going to be annoying about Kudus, because look, I think to get the best out of Kudus, you've got to play football in a certain way. You have, you know, and he is definitely he's a world-class player there in the making. And it's going to be so sickening if he actually reaches his full potential just the other side of fucking London, if he goes over there. Because I'll be thinking to myself, why couldn't we fucking get that out of him? And people will say, oh, he didn't even try for it. That's bullshit. This was a shop window for him. He would do everything to demonstrate his talent. Of course he would. It's just us not getting the best out of players again.
You go back to this first season we signed Kudus. You look at him and Paquetá were linking up, him and Bowen. He was enjoying his football. The thing is with players like Kudus and Paquetá, they have to be enjoying their football, because when they're enjoying their football, that's when you see the best of them. When you're down at the bottom and scrapping for relegation, to be honest, we weren't in much of a relegation battle. I know we finished.
We were never really in risk, was we?
There was never any danger, because the 3 teams that went down were poor last season. But it wasn't great, was it? Like some of the games. I mean, could you name 3 games that you watched us last season and thought, fucking hell, we were brilliant now?
No,
exactly. It was just hoping to get a result, get a win, just to get more points on the table to guarantee us safety, or just move up them.
Even the flagship win, which was the Arsenal game, that was a very good defensive performance, and we won on the counter attack. So that was a good.
I agree.
It was a good defensive performance, but there was no. I can't remember really the last time I've come away from a game and thought, fucking, we were scintillating there. We was brilliant. I just can't. I can't remember it.
No,
you know,
I'm the same, mate.
So and that's the thing. A lot of people call the West Ham fan base negative, but I think the negativity is coming from the football pitch. I really do. I think it doesn't matter. I know it's cringy, and a lot of people do cringe when we say it, but entertaining football, because we've never been a successful club, so we've always tried to play football the right way. We've always tried to attack and have a go at the opposition, especially when you're at home. And I do feel like that is in our DNA as fans. And I think if you starve us of that, I think it's depressing. I think it depresses us, or a lot of us it does, because you're like, mate.
Yeah. Fans react to what's going on the pitch. If we're winning and we're playing good football, it's a totally different vibe around the football club. Totally different vibe around the fan base. Even when there are people still trying to be negative, you brush it off, because you know you think, no, do you know what? We're playing well. We're winning games. Even when we're losing, if we're playing well, we can handle that. You know, we grew up watching West Ham at the Bowling Ground. You know, and we used to see us come up against Man United. You know, and we wouldn't have the strongest team, but we'd go out there and put in a performance, and we'd walk out with a 2-2 draw, and we'd be fucking buzzing. You'd be going to school just to wind your mates up who support United. You know, that's how it was.
And you know what, Ryan? When you look at it in retrospect, right, we didn't have players that were anywhere near the level of what we've got now either. That's what's really frustrating. But I think the managers back then was a little bit, fair enough. Under Redknapp, we had some great players, but you did have a manager there under Redknapp that would allow the players to, you know, like the creative players and Mavericks, they need freedom. To get the best out of any creative player, it's like when Grealish went from Aston Villa to Man City. There's no coincidence that he dropped off completely because all of a sudden he's been forced into a rigid system where he's now got a job to do, basically. And I just feel like, the 15-16 season, that was probably the last really enjoyable season from a football point of view, in terms of watching the team and enjoyment from match to match in the Premier League the whole way through. And that was when we had Slav. And again, we had a player in Payet who was just allowed to basically do what the fuck he wanted, Ryan.
Yeah, and
he was just given the freedom.
Yeah, and I remember, if you remember, under Alan Pardew, when we signed Ben Ayoun, he had a typical role where he could just get the ball and do what he wants. Them sort of players, you have to give them the freedom, because then you have the workers around you that will do the dirty work for you. I mean, Payet was never one, even though he did put in tackles, Payet was never
He never chased back, mate. He never chased back.
He wouldn't work back. He didn't have to, because we knew that when he got the ball, something was going to happen. And that's what we've always grown up with players like that.
But did Di Canio chase back? I don't remember him chasing back very often.
I was just about to say, I never grew up in the era of Devonshire and Brooklyn and all that, but I grew up with the likes of Di Canio, and he was another one. He wouldn't run back, but he would fucking get the ball and he'd take on about 10 players and then go back and take them on again. That's that. But we used to love that. We used to love that at West Ham, and that's what we need. We need a few players like that in the team that just want to get on the ball, not afraid to. Because I think if you watch football now in general, wingers don't take on players no more, do they? It's not that type of game. They go to do it and then they pass back. Football's boring now. I love watching the Premiership years on Sky.
Oh yeah, mate. It's night and day now. I mean, look, we might be witnessing a bit of a change back, because I do think what you're seeing now is a bit of a drop off in this. Unfortunately, the type of football that we're playing, which is like a fucking pound shot pep ball, which is holding on to the ball for the sake of it. That seems to be going out the game. You seem to be getting a more, I don't know. It seems to be. You saw it with teams last year. It was more sort of, I think, more sort of counter attacking. If you look at the fucking Champions League game, with Barcelona and was it a Barcelona Inter Milan, wasn't it?
Oh, Inter Milan, yeah.
Fucking hell! I mean, just two teams just going back and forth. That's football. That's what fans want to see, and I do think that is hopefully the route that the Premier League is going to take. But I hope it does. I mean, look, if one player's got the ability, if they've got the freedom, so if you've got, and we've got lots of them now. We didn't just have Payet, we had Lanzini as well. But when you've got that one player who's that good and they're allowed to be themselves, they bring the level up of everyone around them. And I can remember one game this season, and there's a few people in the chat who are Paqueta haters that are going to disagree with me, and I don't care. But Liverpool away, when Paqueta basically just fucking took that game by the scruff of the neck. He did. And Potter got a lot of credit for that. But if you watch that game back, that was just Paqueta popping up all over that fucking pitch, beasting their midfielders, just doing amazing shit. And everyone around, when you've got a player like that, you've played football before, Ryan, when you've got a player like that in your team, it fucking livens everyone up, doesn't it? You start looking for him, you're giving him the ball because you think, fuck me, he's going to do something. That was a mood that he was in. And we're fortunate enough to not have to rely on just Paqueta because we've got Kudus as well. But unfortunately, this season, under Lopetegui and then Potter, I think we've had Kudus shackled almost. I think it's drained him a little bit. I think because I don't think you can. He's one of the best dribblers in the fucking world. He actually is. Even this season, he was in the top 5 for successful dribbles in Europe. Paqueta was not Paqueta. Kudus was this year. So you got a player that's got that much fucking talent, and you just you can't be shoehorning him out and sticking him out on the left hand. You just can't do it. What will always upset me is I've been calling for a midfield three, and we're never going to see it now. It's too late. I was calling for it under Moyes in his last season, and I was calling for it all last year, and that was to see Alvarez at the base, to see Paquetá in the 8, and to see Paquetá and Kudus in the middle. That triangle there. You've got Paquetá who plays in the 8 for Brazil. You've got Kudus who plays in the 10 for Ghana, and you've got Alvarez who plays where he plays for fucking Mexico. But they're not good enough to play in the middle of West Ham. That for me, because where have we been struggling for the past 2 years? It's been the midfield, isn't it? The midfield has been non-existent. Teams have been running through us. And I just think if you've got if you've got that, you've got a destroyer in Alvarez, you've got Paqueta who can fucking thread the ball through the eye of a needle. He can kind of create, and he's combative. You've got Kudus who can carry the ball, he can drive from the middle, and then you've got forward players. You've got fucking Bowen. If Somerville hadn't got injured, you've got Fulkrug. It could have been such a different season, mate. It really could have if we'd have had Harry Redknapp in charge or someone like that. Just somebody that just went, fuck the tactics, go out there, boys, and play. I think we had a group of players that were like that. I think we had a group of players that are that talented that tactically I don't think you needed to do much with them. Needed to do much with them. In fact, I think tactically you can suppress a team. You can suppress individual ability. I think if you had a manager that basically just encouraged them to just go out there and have fun and just fucking tear teams apart, we've got players that would do that in our team. Currently, we have anyway. And I just feel like it's a missed opportunity, mate. I really do.
Yeah,
It's a shame because we ain't getting it back now. These players are going to go. We've missed it. We've missed the boat.
Yeah, I agree, mate, because I can see Alvarez leaving the football club. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just like we seem to be. It's like when we won the Conference League. We seem to be on such a high,
Yeah.
and then we lost our captain, and then we started struggling. Not just because we lost Rice, but everything just seems to have gone downhill, and it just seems nothing just seems to be getting better. We need some sort of luck. We need something. I don't know where it is. Whether it's someone going to come in and buy the football club and inject some money into us. Because on paper, our owners collectively are billionaires, isn't they? Like they've got the money.
They are. Krasinski's fucking Keiko, and his missus is even more rich.
I think Sullivan's a billionaire as well, and I'm like, if you love the football club as much as you say, and you want to see, surely them watching us the other year win that trophy and seeing the reaction and the crowds after, and the crowd the next day, lining the streets. Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want that every season? Try to win a trophy. We know what it's going to be. We're going to probably go out the League Cup to fucking AFC Wimbledon or something in the first round. Then we're going to come to January. We'll fucking get knocked out and the cups are gone again. Where really we should think to ourselves, right, we're good enough to stay in the Premier League. Let's try to. I'm not saying we're going to go for Europe next season, but let's try to aim just to get back into that top 10.
We've got to be. We've got to be pushing for top 10. Surely, we've got to be.
Let's have a go. Let's have a go at these cup competitions because you see, like with Newcastle winning the Carabao Cup, what it meant to them. That would be a big trophy for us.
Mate,
whatever
Crystal Palace as well. Fucking hell, that was a big one, wasn't it, for them?
Massive, and I've never seen West Ham lift the FA Cup. I wasn't born in 1980. It was close in 06, but I'd love to see us win the FA Cup. Would 100% love to see us.
That's the one. That's the one for me. If you offered me,
mate,
Europa
honestly,
League or that, I'd take the FA Cup.
Yeah, as much as I love the winning the Conference League and being there that night, I'd swap it for the FA Cup tomorrow. I would.
Yeah.
I'd love to see West Ham walking up them steps at Wembley. Captain lifting the FA Cup because we've grown up seeing Bobby Moore, Billy Bonds lift the FA Cup, but we haven't had a captain since then that's going to lift it, and it's going to probably be a long time before we do again.
No, I mean, I do think we've missed Rice. I do think that's made a big difference. I think Moyes definitely benefited from having a generational talent on his hands that basically made up for a multitude of sins in our team. When you got a player that good in midfield, it kind of covers your defence, it covers weaker midfielders, and you take that out. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. In his last season, it weren't great. We was in a 35-game relegation battle, weren't we? So it weren't in the league. We were struggling. But you can half tell the fucking difference in midfield. It's like we ain't got a midfield now since he's been gone.
You notice it massively, and whatever people think of Rice, he was a massive loss. It'd be a big loss to Arsenal when he leaves them in a couple of seasons next season when he goes to Madrid.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's
I can start liking
it's
him
hard
again,
to replace with Declan Rice. But then look, when we sold Declan Rice, and we went out and we bought the likes of James Ward-Prowse and Alvarez, and you think to yourself, and we started off that season quite well, didn't we? Like,
Yeah.
especially in midfield, we actually looked right, and you think to yourself, all right, there
Well,
is like
Alvarez looked the bollocks when we first got him. Do you remember him against Brighton? He was fucking unreal, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, life goes on. You know, players come and go. Like, we all get attached to players, and we are sad when they leave the football club. But look, football goes on, and you have to get new heroes. And Jared Bowen's sort of stepped up to the mark now. He's without Jared Bowen last season, we'd be in the Championship, without a doubt.
Well, without his goals, fucking hell.
Yeah, without his goals and like his work rate, and you know. But then if you've got to be careful as well that you don't start upsetting the likes of Jared Bowen. If you start sending all your best players, and he's captain this football club, he's another one that's going to get it on the chin. You know, he's going to take a lot of flack.
Do you feel sorry for Bowen?
I do, yeah. I do.
I kind of feel like when he signed up for that big contract, that the 7-year contract, he probably bought into the long-term vision as well. Because look, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he loves West Ham. He respects us, and he respects him always for giving him his chance and putting him where he was. But I think everyone knows what you can't take away from a footballer. Surely, a player of that level is their ambition. They didn't get where they are through not being ambitious. It's that's what drives them. So for him to get to his absolute peak and be like, I reckon deep down, I'll be amazed if he don't feel like, fuck, I'm stuck here. I'm stuck.
Yeah,
and I think
I agree, mate. Look, every football player, especially at the top level, should have ambition to want to win trophies. Football careers are short. We hear that all the time, and not many players retire from football and have a big medal collection. You know, there's been greats that have retired and not won a single thing in their career. You know, but yeah, I do feel a bit sorry for him in that way. But you know, if we can start building a new team, because when you look at that team from the Conference League final, it's been ripped apart. There's hardly anyone there now, is there? Like, especially if Antonio goes as well. I mean, what's your thoughts on Antonio? Like, do you think
I love Mickey. I love him. I really do. But it's time. It's time. I'm not like a lot of the other fans that are like, oh no. I mean, I've seen some fans go, he's fucking fault. He crashed the car, and you just like fucking leave it out. Do you know what I mean? Just like you've ever made a mistake before, but he's old now. That's a big. I mean, fucking credit to him. He's a machine, Ryan. For him to have come back from that car wreck and to have played the other day as well, which indicates that he's getting his fitness back. I wouldn't be surprised if he could still do a job in the Premier League. I wouldn't be surprised if we kept him. He was still useful because he's a bit of a physical freak. He's a force of nature.
The thing is, as well, he looks like he's lost a lot of muscle mass, which could be benefit him. It could benefit him because when he bulked up, he lost a lot of his speed, didn't he? And he lost a.
It's like a bouncer when he bouncer.
Losing that muscle mass might give him another 1 or 2 years in the Premier League. I can see it being where he gets released, and we could end up with another Colton Cole situation where we don't sign anyone and then we bring him back.
I reckon he'll stay in the Premier League. I think he'll go to one of the teams that have been promoted, and I do actually think that it could bite us in the arse.
I could honestly see him ending up at somewhere like Palace or Fulham. Because I think he'd want to stay in London. I think, like, especially with Palace, he's from South London. So, me personally, I would love to have seen Antonio in a West Ham shirt one more time after what happened to him. But, we do have to move on. And you can't... we had this discussion the other night. You can't give him big wages, because he's not guaranteed. No. If he was to turn around and say, okay, look, you was loyal to me when after what I'd done, you see out the contract, you still paid me. I'll sign a new 1 year, 2 year deal, but I'll be on a minimum salary and it's a pay as you play sort of contract. But that's not going to happen, is it? Because someone else will just give him the big money. No,
that's it. Sorry, everyone. I'm jumping down the chat as I go because we're talking and you're skipping through, so I'm going to be missing chunks of it. But no, look, I wish him all the best. I think he's been a fantastic player for us. Like, genuinely, when it's a real Roy the Rover story that he's passed through as well. He's he's a bit unique. Because he ain't the best foot. Well, actually, he's better than what he seems. He looks clumsy. But he does know what he's doing. And do you know something? You've got to give him respect, right? I mean, he's seen off 2 record fucking striker signings. He's seen off Haller. He's seen off Skamaka. We've brought in these big players from overseas, and none of them have been better than him. They ain't.
Yeah,
neither of them have been better than him.
I think everyone thinks the same about Antonio. Is that when he has to think, he's poor. When it's instinct, he's good. He's decent. And yeah, look, I've got a lot of respect for Antonio. He's been a great servant to this football club. He's our record Premier League scorer. He obviously part of the team that won the Conference League. It'd be forever in our history, you know.
Yeah.
I know the word legend is used a lot. I'm not going to call him a legend, but
I love the guy. I really do.
yeah, I do love him. I think and do you know what? If I was Antonio, look, I'm not telling him how to run his life. You know, it's hard for a football player to retire, especially when it's taken away from you. But I think if I was him, he's earned a lot of money. I think he's got a great career being a pundit. I think he could get involved in that sort of thing, and I think he's got the personality.
He's got bags of personality, and bags of personality.
You can see him in the Conference League final when he was working for TNT Sport or DAZN, whoever it was, and he was brilliant. Him walking around interviewing for hours. It was like a mate talking to a mate. It wasn't a scripted interview. It was just like him walking along with 4 hours, like they probably done at West Ham training ground, just talking. And I think he'd be good at that.
Yeah, no, I think so. Would you be upset, disappointed if we give him a new contract?
It depends on the deal. I think if it's a deal where it's not 100 grand a week and we're going to get tied down to, you know, a long, lengthy contract, like the maximum they'll probably give him would be 2 years, wouldn't it? You know, I don't think Antonio's going to want to sign a 1-year deal, you know, so I'm a bit, it's hard for me at the moment because, as I said, I love Antonio, but I agree. I think sometimes it's just time to end. But I didn't want his West Ham career to end with him being dragged out of a car.
I did want him to have that fairy tale moment, didn't you? Like at the end of the season, come on and just play at the end. Really, yeah. I did want that because a lot of the players haven't had it. A lot of the players haven't had the goodbye. Emerson didn't really have the goodbye either.
No, yeah, and I think that, I think you're right. Antonio deserved that last 10 minutes at Ipswich. He was fit enough to be on the bench. I think Potter could have just had him back in the matchday squad, you know, and then was 4-0, 3-1 up. What was it, 3-1?
Yeah.
You could have just brought him on for 10 minutes, have a run about, say goodbye in front of the travelling fans, and then, but
I think there's listen. I do actually think there's a good chance that he could be signed on a 1-year contract. But again, it's down to whether he wants to or not. Because I think if he had an opportunity to go elsewhere now, he's the type of guy. He's you know, I think if he's going to carry on playing, maybe if I was him, I'd be looking to go not Dubai, but maybe go to the US or something like that. You know, get a last big payday out there. He could play it there for another 2-3 fucking years. It'd be fine.
Yeah, he'll end up into Miami. And he's gone from playing with fucking Ward-Prowse and that to going playing with Messi and fucking Suarez, even though they're in their 50s or whatever they are.
Yeah, but I think he could. I suppose, look, on a lighter note, so we've got all the trepidation around the transfer window, which we have, but there is some potential good news next year, and that is, and again, we don't know where we are with that, but are you excited by the potential of there being a bit more of a core of West Ham Academy players involved in the setup next year? So the likes of Earthy, the likes of Potts in particular, Scholes and that. Do you think that could make a big difference with the West Ham fans and their connection with that team again, if we start seeing some of our boys in there and doing well as well?
Yeah, I think, like, especially with what we spoke about earlier, the transfer window, sometimes you could have the gems right under your feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that I've said this many a time. I think Potts is ready for the first team. I think he will be a key player for us next season. I hope that I hope a few of the youngsters get a lot of pre-season game time and that. But Potts, I think, is ready to step up. I mean, it was interesting. We done a night with Konchesky a few weeks ago, and we was talking about Ollie Scholes, and Konchesky was saying that he doesn't see him as a left back.
No.
He doesn't see him as a left back. He sees him as an attacking left winger or in the centre mid. And he says that he looks lost at left back sometimes. And you know, you never know. Like with Potter, if he's forced to work with the youth, it might be the best thing for him and the football club, because we might get another. Like for me, the way I look at Potts and the way he plays and just he's built. He reminds me a lot of Declan Rice. I'm not saying
Yeah.
he's Declan Rice's levels, but Declan Rice wasn't great when he first broke into the first team.
No, he made a few fucking awful mistakes, didn't he?
I
The one
remember-
against
I remember-
Newcastle and that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him getting dragged off at half time by Bilic, you know,
Yeah.
and he struggled. And then when he got put into centre mid by Pellegrini, was Pellegrini the first one to play him there?
Yeah.
I think he obviously looked a little bit lost, but then sometimes
Pellegrini,
you've got-
Pellegrini made Declan Rice.
sometimes you just got to stick with it. You got to get players around them that are experienced and are going to work. And then if he makes a mistake, they don't get on his back. They fucking pick him up and say, "Carry on." That's what you need. You need players like that. So I think there's a lot of talent. We've seen our youth do it for the last few seasons. The under-23s winning tournaments and the Youth Cup, and yeah, I think that it might be a blessing in disguise that Potter has to use some of them.
I think there's some players that are oven ready. A player in particular, obviously Scholes, I think is. I think he's a good player. He'll get better and better. Just traumatised by Salah. That's all. Yeah, he's had to get over that.
Yeah.
But that'd be a learning curve for him. How many fullbacks has Salah not made look like a cunt? Do you know what I mean? He's done it to everyone, hasn't he?
Exactly.
But Potts for me, especially when you look at the state of our midfield at the moment, and you know what, if we've got Potts and Earthy and we don't go out and make big signings and we don't really improve that midfield, if Potts and Earthy can't get in this central midfield with the state that it's in now, then you've almost got to be looking to release them, because this is the worst I've ever seen our midfield. You know, there is an opportunity there. If Alvarez goes, Potts is a natural player to sort of drop in there. Is that sort of deep lying sort of destroyer and playmaker, and he's got more athleticism than Alvarez as well. You know, he's quite weird actually. Do you remember when I've watched him quite when he played for West Ham, and I've watched him for Portsmouth? He looks like fucking Declan Rice. I'm not putting that pressure on him, but even his running pattern, the way that he reads the game, the way that he scans, he seems to be very intelligent. He looks like a real fucking player, and he's an athlete as well. I think he's ready, mate. He looks class to me.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I agree, and it's a little bit of positive. It's a little bit of excitement to think that we could bring through another player like to the levels of what Declan Rice reached. You know, and he's obviously a West Ham boy. You know, his family history. His dad played for the club. His brothers. So yeah, it's it could be as I said, mate. It could be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, because sometimes, you know, you could go out and spend 60, 70 million on a midfielder and he might be shit, but then you look to your youth and there could be some ready to come through. So I'm excited to see pre-season and watching them develop and see what we can do.
Well, they'll definitely get involved in pre-season. I think that's already been sort of said, isn't it, by the ITKs that are out there. Apparently the likes of Earthy, the likes of Potts and all the others, they're going to be used heavily in pre-season. They're going to be assessed. I just really think with Potts now, because Potts ain't a kid no more. He's had two brilliant spells out on loan. You can't do it to him a third time.
Yeah,
you can't. You know, you've either got to keep him around the club and give him his opportunity, or you've got to let him go. Because what I think was disgusting, if you go back to the likes of, do you remember Cullen? We kept him till he was 26.
Yeah,
that's too much.
You know, like you look at the likes of, like we was talking about Aaron Redknapp earlier, but you go back to the likes of when we had Rio, Lampard, Carrick, Cole. You know, you just knew that they were special players. You know, you've got to be to make it to the levels of the Premier League. You've got to be an unbelievable talent. You know, I know we sit there and flag players off, but they're fucking talented people to make it to that level. So to be a youngster to break into a first team Premier League team is tough. And when
to
you
go,
do
to go
it, you
to go and force out like an established player in that position, you've got to, you know, it's not easy, is it?
no,
It's not
no,
easy.
it's not. But
So
yeah, no. Hopefully we'll
so
see a lot of these youngsters.
see that is a positive. That's something that I can get on board with. But even that, I've got trepidation around it. This can all change with me. It can, you know, once we start seeing the squad being shaped. So say, for instance, we get over the heartbreak of the players which are going to be leaving. You know, your Alvarez's, your Caduce, they're going to be going. Maybe a couple of astute signings and some sort of commitment from the club, maybe from Potter in a press conference to say, look, Scholes, you know, Scholes and Urfi, they're going to form a real important part of the squad moving forwards. They're not going back out on loan. Then that's the sort of messaging I want to see, really, for next year, just to give us something. I understand and I accept you can't fill your team with all fucking youngsters. I know you can't do that, but iron sharpens iron, as John always used to say. And I think if you keep these boys in and around that first team, it's going to bring their levels up. If Potts, he's done great at Portsmouth, but at the same time, can you imagine the benefit of training with Paquetá and fucking Alvarez and Caduce and Bowen and players like that? That surely is going to improve your level as well, won't it?
Of course, 100%. 100%, mate. And as you said, if there's anything positive to cling on to at the moment, it is that to think that we have got them. Even if they're not all going to make it, they're not all going to make it into the first team. But if you can get one or two to break through and really like get in that first team, then yeah, it's a massive bonus, especially for Sullivan because he only had to pay fuck all for him.
Exactly that. And what I do like when you do give the kids a chance as well is a lot of the stuff that we complain about from, you know, some of the senior players. Oh, Caduce don't look interested, so and so don't. You don't tend to get that from the kids that have come through the academy, mate. They've got enthusiasm, haven't they? They fucking want to do well. They'll give everything, and I think that'd be nice to have some youthful enthusiasm in there as well.
Yeah, it's what they've worked from when they signed their forms when they were 7 years old at West Ham. They've worked. That's what they work for. That's what their ambition is to one day play in that first team. You know, Freddie Potts obviously has grown up with West Ham around him. He knows the football club inside out, so he knows it. A bit like the Mark Noble situation.
It is,
when he broke through, he knew what it meant to play for West Ham. He's been a fan. He's stood he's been a season to get older. His family are West Ham fans, so it'd be nice to get another player like that come through because we've obviously had like John Moncur's boys play for us and it didn't work out. So to see like a legend like Steve Potts, to see his boy make it into the first team and make a name for himself and like we grew up watching Steve Potts. Now future generations can grow up to watch Freddie Potts. You know, it'd
be fucking amazing. It would be. Especially when you look at if he gets his reward as well, because I do believe he's good enough. It doesn't mean he's going to get his chance. It don't mean they ain't going to go out and buy another fucking midfielder that's going to cock block him. You know, that could happen. It could just completely curtail his entry into the team. But for him to have had that kind of season at Wickham, get player of the season at Portsmouth, get player of the season, and then come in after all the excitement around him and then actually fucking do it and become part of that team, I'd be happy with that. I would be. I really would be. You know, when we look at sort of signing players, it is difficult because look, none of us know whether I suppose he can make that step up. But I fail to see how he could do any worse than some of the midfielders we've got at the moment. With as in now, if he was, for instance, last season, mate. Could he have done worse? Would he have detrimentally affected our team last season?
No, definitely not, mate. And I think he would have like. There's times where you watch them games and you're looking around and you're thinking, where's the energy in midfield? And when you've got a youngster who would be giving everything to be on that football pitch, it's what you want to see. And yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said earlier, mate. If he don't get a chance this season, then just release him. Let him go and play his football somewhere else because it's not fair to keep him tied down.
It's not fair. He's not a baby now. I think, what is he, 21, 22 now? So he's not young. I mean, Urfi, you could probably get away with loaning him out again, although I don't really want to see that. We loved that moment with Urfi. You know, the end of Moyes' tenure when he kind of threw Urfi in. He was enthusiastic, mate, wasn't he? He was fucking buzzing. And what I liked about him as well was, I don't know if you remember, but he got right involved in the action. He scored, but he got right involved in the action. So his link-up play, he was linking up with Paquetá and Kudus. He was on the same fucking wavelength.
Yeah,
he was linking up with them. So there's definitely a player there. So yeah, I think that's something to cling on to anyway for next season. Something to cling on to.
I'm fucking buzzing for next season now, mate. That's all we needed was a fucking injection of youth.
That's it.
Get them fixtures back up. We're gonna win everything now.
Right. I'll tell you, should we make our predictions again? I'll tell you what we have got to do. We'll do it on the next show. The next one that we do, we'll go through our fucking disastrous predictions that we made at the start of last season. Because I think we had, I don't even know if I've got them here, to be honest. Hang on, where are they?
I'll just don't get them up.
Hang on. Let's have a look, see if I can find them.
It was terrible. Terrible.
It was bad.
I think I predicted us to win the League Cup. I think I had us finishing like 7th or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Right, so let me just do a quick search. I'll find
it. Money. I was excited.
Thing is, mate, we won the transfer window. Do you remember?
Yeah, mate. We were buzzing. Even when we lost at home against Aston Villa on the first game, we was all still buzzing.
I know. No, I'll find them on the next one. I'll have to go through me. I'll spare us the embarrassment for this show, but we got it completely, mate. We got it completely fucking wrong. I did have a look a few weeks ago. We was way off.
Oh, mate, yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch that back. I might have to come on here with a couple of vodkas. I think I've got a bottle of Jack Daniels just down now.
I think
do you know what? My back is sweating. I'm dripping. Like,
I'm sweating.
Oh, mate, I feel like I'm in a sauna.
Yeah, I'm moist. I'm definitely moist. But but I'll tell you what we're going to do. We will wrap it up there. It is 10 o'clock. We've done an hour. I can't tolerate this room anymore. Ryan, thanks so much for coming on, mate. You're a top man.
Nah, thanks for having me, mate. Always a pleasure. Always a joy to come on here and talk West Ham with you.
We'll do it more often. We'll do it more frequently as well. Every now and then, as the season gets close. 100%. Hopefully, next time we'll have some players. We'll have some players to get all excited about.
At least one signing, or we'll have to just talk about the youth again.
Oh fucking hell! I know.
Dragging the fucking youth out all season.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Hopefully, we'll have a bit of positive news to talk about next time. We'll be talking about the great signing we've just made. Probably Antonio on a 4-year deal, but
yeah, probably it will be. But everyone that's watching this, I'm sure you've all signed a petition anyway. But the petition, to get these horrible people out of our club, you know what it is. It's bsout.co.uk. Go over there, sign it, check in your emails. Please get it done. Let's get these people out. Horrible bastards. Right, speak to you all soon. Come on, you irons.